This video demonstrates how to create a time section or time height diagram. If starting with the standard sounding diagram, you can then press the F6 key or use the Displays menu and then select the cross-section option. And if you want RAOB to always open with this view, then just select the File menu and select the Auto Load this cross-section option. Okay, let's start by opening the File menu. And please note that even though the first option says create a new cross-section, the term cross-section is here generic and applies to distance-based and time-based sectionals. So let's give it a click. And now let's choose the time cross-section option, which can also be called a time height diagram. Please note the short message which says that RAOB expects each sounding to have the same coordinates, since this is a time series diagram. And now notice that you have two options, the standard and the quick load methods. First, we'll start with the standard method. Then select the Add a Sounding button, and then choose the Chatham data file, which was obtained from the popular UWYO internet site from the University of Wyoming. This file contains historical 00Z and 12Z soundings for the entire month of January. But we only want to plot the 12Z soundings. So now we need to click on Select Sum button. So here we want to start with the second sounding and then select every other or every second sounding thereafter. And then click the OK button. And here we see highlighted in blue and checked in the left column boxes every other sounding, which are now ready for processing. So now we just select the transfer button and our 32 soundings are loaded and ready for diagram plotting. And now we'll enter a name for this diagram and then select the Save and Plot cross-section button. And here's our plotted time section diagram, where the month and year are listed on the x-axis along with the days of the month. Remember to right-click while over the diagram for plotting options. And to reduce wind plot clutter, we'll change the winds to a gray color and reduce the wind plots to the small size. And also remember to right-click along the left margin for access to the Analyze toolbar, which is also obtained by using the Analyze menu option. And now let's select the Potential Vorticity button for analysis. And we'll also add the tropopause line, which very closely outlines the upper level maximum vorticity gradient. And here's a handy feature. Just hover the mouse over any sounding line and the mouse pointer changes to a hand image, like this. At the same time, a description of that particular sounding is displayed below the diagram. And then if you click the mouse, you'll see a pop-up mini sounding diagram for quick reference purposes. And if you then click on this expand icon, RAOB will then display a full screen image of the sounding diagram. Okay, now we'll demonstrate the quick diagram creation method. And again, select the File menu and then the Time cross-section option. Now before selecting the Quick Load button, notice that it also says that the sounding must be Date-Time Group enabled. Well, what does that mean? For a hint, just hover the mouse over the button. It says to right-click for information. So let's right-click, and up pops the help screen discussing the file requirements, which essentially means that the sounding data must contain sufficient date-time information to put it into the standard date-time format as indicated here. And as of this video, here are the sounding data formats for which RAOB can produce the necessary date-time group information set. And listed here is BuffKit data, which we'll next select for processing. Okay, so let's go ahead and select the Quick Load button. and choose the KEPO BufKit file for Eastport, Maine. And here it automatically selects all soundings within the BufKit file, all 85 soundings for the 84-hour forecast time period. So now all we need to do is enter a name for this diagram, and then select the Save and Plot cross-section button. And here's our 84-hour time section diagram. Notice the new x-axis date-time labels. Since there appears to be a lot of wind variation at the lower levels, let's drop the upper millibar limit from 100 millibars to 400 millibar for a better view of the lower atmosphere. We could right-click on the diagram for the diagram options, but this time we'll select the Options menu and then the Diagram options. Now we'll change the upper millibar limit from 100 to 400 millibars, and then save. Now let's open the Analyze toolbar and select the Theta E, or equivalent potential temperature, for analysis. And here we see a dramatic threshold change from red to blue, indicating a cold front passage at about the 30-hour point. The atmosphere starts warm and moist and changes to cooler and drier after about 30 hours. Now let's graphically zoom into the frontal zone region. Just hold down the Control key and then click and drag the mouse to define the region of interest with this rubber band box. And then release the mouse. And here we see southwest winds in the warm red region, which then switch over to northwest winds at the 30-hour point and into the blue and cooler region. In order to return to the original diagram, just click on this Restore menu. And now let's add one more analysis overlay, Fronts. First, recall the toolbar, and now select the Fronts Analysis button. In here we see several indicators for warm front, which then change to cold front indicators at about 30 plus hours. Remember that RAOB finds frontal zones using the Hodograph's thermal wind analyses, which require use of the optional Fronts and Forecast module, which is discussed in a separate video. Before closing this video, there's just one more feature to mention. Remember that the quick load method was the faster way to create a time series diagram than the standard mode. Well, there's also the batch mode, which is much faster than even the quick mode. In order to configure this feature, just select the File menu and then the Batch Load configuration options. All necessary information is available in this Help File button, but basically here is the batch format that you'll need to use to start the process. Once the batch starts, the time series diagram will be drawn and analyzed as is the currently displayed diagram by just clicking this button like this. Also, if desired, RAOB will save an image of the diagram according to these settings. And RAOB will also FTP the diagram image if selected here. That completes the time section creation video. Please also see the cross-section creation video. Thank you for watching.